There is somebody outside the camp right now. Gosh darn it. Evidently they were in there. All right, so we've been working on several of those crossings already this morning, and what we have here next is a 9-acre parcel of property that the railroad owns. And this thing is needing brush hogged, and that was one thing they asked me to do while I was down here working along the tracks, because the tracks is just right over there where that utility line is. And they bought this property several years ago for future expansions, for something to do with the railroad. But anyway, last year, part of this property, about half of it, was still full of timber and brush. And this area down there was all open. Well, they ended up having problems, the city did, with homeless encampments. And actually, inside these woods was a homeless camp that several people have lived. Last year, this is what it looked like. While I was brush hogging that open area, this was the homeless camp that the police and the city was clearing out that was in the timber. So I snuck in there and took some pictures of what it looked like. Be coming in here, we're going to get the rest of this brush hogged, keep it clean and maintained, so other homeless camps are not going to be coming up down here in this area. Unfortunately, it's sad, and you know, I don't know what to say about it other than these people, I guess, just don't have nowhere to live or to reside, and so they just find land and they set up camp on. Working on getting this mowed back here as much as I can next to the road. So as I was beginning to make my way and brush hog on one side of that property, I spent a good amount of time getting that cleaned up next to the road. And then for some reason, I looked out across that 9-acre property to a brush pile that was on the other end of the property, and I saw what looked to be like a camp. And I was like, oh my gosh, another homeless camp that I'm gonna have to deal with. So anyway, as I was mowing back and forth, I kept my eye over there next to that brush pile because it looked like someone has built some kind of a camp. And I was looking for activity. I was looking for any movement. I was looking for people that was coming out, and I didn't see any activity. So I had a plan in mind. And what was about to happen completely shocked me, scared me, and I wasn't prepared for it. So stay tuned so you can see what was about to happen. I've been keeping an eye on that little homeless shelter over there, and I'm not seeing any activity, which I know it's an active shelter just by how it looks. I'm going to mow into that area and try to mow around it, because whoever is living there, I do not think is there currently. Whether he's in town doing his rounds or whatever. I know it's been raining here about every day, and today it's not, so he's probably left. I'm not really sure where they go. But I'm going to take a chance and try to get that mowed now while no activity is there. That way, then later I can just focus on getting the rest of this area done. So here we go. Cross your fingers. Yeah, it's pretty swampy here. Treading water. My, look at that. If somebody was there, they would come outside and probably try to confront me, so I know no one is there. I don't believe so anyway. Alright, I'm gonna go up here, turn around, go back by it again just to make sure nobody comes out, and then I'm going to try to make a circle around it and get it mowed. And that way I don't have to worry about messing with it later. Not seeing anybody around there, so I'm gonna mow around it. Oh my gosh, look at there. They got a tunnel under there to get water drained out. It's probably got some kind of a sleeping area in there. Evidence that no one is there. Alright, there is somebody outside the camp right now. Gosh darn it. Evidently they were in there. Yes, sir.
Give you a little something here for doing what you do here. Hey, thanks for your time, bud.
Hey, I don't need your money, man.
I want to make it. I want to make it right with you. We're mowing this down.
Yeah. Do you need anything?
I think I'm quite all right. Anything I can do to help you?
No, I just got to get this property mowed up.
Yeah. My name's Cody Goodman. I've lived here for several years now.
Oh, okay.
Out here on this property.
Okay.
My daddy had 4.2 acres right here, and I don't know where the property line starts or where it is, but the railroad tries to tell me that according to Google Maps that they own both sides of the road, but they don't. There's a property line here. I don't quite know where it was, and I've been here before they took the trees down.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I've been living here on this land for quite some time now.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just trying to live. I'm a homeless man just trying to live.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to bother nobody. One thing about being out here, the businesses, they're not calling in on me. They let me make it.
Yeah. Well, I'll be down here most of the day to try to get all this brush hogged. So
it gets a little rough right out there.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Due to other people trying to be good to them, it's costed me the trees and everything else.
Yeah.
We started clearing here back in 2019.
Oh, did they really?
early 20.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And it just got worse since then.
yeah,
And I've been here since 2009.
Yeah.
Place.
yeah,
I got out of prison in 2018. And
yeah,
right across the tracks, I have a little less than an acre over there, and I just don't want them cutting my trees down
Yeah.
over there. That's the
Yeah.
only reason I ain't living on it. So.
All right.
No, sir. But I just want to appreciate you for your time.
All right,
And I hope you have a blessed day.
all right, you too. Wow. What do you do? He thinks that he still owns part of this property here, and the railroad says they own all 9 acres. I don't know. It's kind of sad. Wow. I was completely caught off guard on that. You see, I was mowing around that at least 5 to 6 times and I never saw anybody. So I thought whoever lived there was in town. And then that last round, he came out and had a big old Bowie knife on his side. I didn't know if he was gonna jump me, get onto me, what he was gonna do. But what he did next completely blew my socks off. He tried to pay me. He thought I was there to mow the property and do it for him. He said this has been growed up since last year that it was mowing, and he said, hey, I just appreciate your time. He said, here, take this. I said, Cody, he began to tell me his name a little later on. I said, Cody, I said, I don't need this. Here, you take it back. I was a little sad over the deal. He said that, you see, a little later on, I took him a cold water because after I met him that first time, I was out there mowing for several hours, and I kept noticing him out there working, and it was hot. And I had that cooler in my truck, and I thought, heck, I'm gonna take him a cold water. So I drove out there and I got out of the cab. Whether that was the right thing to do or not, I don't know. You guys let me know. But my wife is not really happy with me that I got out of the cab of the skid steer to personally talk to this guy. Because you just don't know about those people. You don't know if they're in their minds right. I've heard stories in this particular area last year while I was down there about some of the things that have been going on. So I didn't really know. But I stepped outside, I handed him a cold water, and he was very, very appreciative. I talked to him a little bit more, and I said, Cody, I said, how do you survive out here? And he said, well, it's tough. He said, I get my food by dumpster diving. And I said, really? I've never been in that situation before where I've ever had to go look in trash cans for food. But he said, Brian, he says, I've got used to this. He said, this is how my life is. He said, I was in prison for 15 years. He said, I've done a lot of bad stuff. He said, I got in trouble with the law. He said, I got locked up. And I said, well, do you have a family, or do you have any kids? He said, well, I don't know if I've got any kids that I know of, but he says, I had a girlfriend before I went to prison, and her name was Stormy. And he said, my life was perfect then. He said, me and her had a great relationship. He said, I had a job, I was working, and he said, I got to drinking and carrying on, and he said, I got into a fight at a bar and presented a gun, and I don't know what all went on, but because of all that, he was locked up for several years. By the end of the conversation, I was in tears, basically like I am now, because he had so much going for him, but because of some stupid things that he got involved in and some stupid things that he did, and he told me some of the things that he did. He said, now, he said, I wish I can go back and change it all, but he says, I can't. He says, I made those mistakes. He said, I messed my life up. He says, I lost my girlfriend, and I lost 15 years of my life. And he says, I got out of the prison. He says, I'm back here on the land that he thinks his dad still owns. But that's not the case. I've looked up land ID. I've looked up all of this. The railroad owns it. But down deep, he thinks that he has a right to be there and lives off the land. There's a homeless shelter down the road. I think he probably goes there some. If I remember right, from last year, whoever was part of that homeless camp, I assume probably he was, sounds like. But there were some others. They took them down to the homeless shelter, put them up. But for some reason, they don't stay there. So I guess the reason that I say all this is, if you're watching, make sure you do right, live by the good book that God has given us, and don't get caught up in the ways of the world and get tied up into some bad stuff. I remember what it was like when I was young. I was young and dumb at one time. I thought I had to sow my wild oats and do a lot of crazy things. I remember exactly what it was like. I was involved in all of that stuff, that alcohol, and never did run the bars or anything like that, but I'm very thankful today for what I have and where I'm at, and I want to thank God that He pulled me up out of that dreadful life that I used to live. Even the land guy did some crazy things that I'm not too proud of. But I'm thankful for the grace of God and where I'm at today. Anyway, I wanted to put this video together just to kind of show you what the life of a homeless person is like and how they live and what they live in. It's pretty sad. But he's not the only homeless person that I've ever come across. For the last 3 years of doing this railroad job, there is a lot of so-called homeless people you see along the tracks. A lot of the railroad people will call them hobos. I remember my grandpa, he worked for Frisco for 30 plus years. He talked a lot about those people that would jump the trains and ride from town to town. They would call them hobos. But a lot of the area that I work in down here in the South, there is a lot of homeless people out. They're out walking around, they're carrying stuff. I see them all the time. In fact, I'll throw a picture up here of a couple of men that was out walking across a field that I was mowing, had big old bags. I don't know exactly what all they had in the back of those bags, but I see that. So I got to keep my truck locked. Last year while I was doing this, I had a chainsaw stole out of the back of my pickup. So now everything is locked up. It's because you just don't know what you're going to encounter. And if you think I'm crazy, I guess I'm crazy. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you think I'm crazy for locking up and doing all that. But I got to the point where I even carry some protection, and I keep it inside the cab here with me, because my pickup's going to be parked a long ways away from where I'm going to be mowing, and you never know what you're going to uncover when you're out here mowing some of this stuff here. There might be someone up in there. You just never know. So you've always got to be prepared, and you got to protect yourself. I have a loving family at home, so I need to make sure that I'm home every night. Other than those last 5 nights that I was on the road, I missed my family, but I wanted to make sure I was safe and always protecting myself. All right. I just saw a little fawn out here. Here, little fawn. Here, little fawn. Don't want to brush hog it. I jumped it. I don't know where it went. Well, there it is. Look at the little baby fawn. Hello there, little fawn. Hey. Hi, dear. Hey. Come here. Come here. Oh, goodness. All right, there it goes. You get in there and go hide, okay? Isn't that neat? Hey, little guy, you better go hide. Mama's gonna be looking for you. All right, that dude jumped up right by my brush hog. That was a very, very close call. But I feel better that I was able to get it out of the way. Just don't want to hit that thing. And I want to be sure to get it away from here because this is where I'm going to be mowing next. Those dudes are tiny, but I want to get it out of the way. I didn't want to have a chance of getting it ran over, which makes me wonder, I wonder if there's another one out here. I just saw that one jump up. I sure hope there's not any more out here. I guess we'll find out. Well, to end this video, I just want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel and supporting the land guy. I know this is really one-off video from what I usually normally do. But I felt like you people needed to see what is out there and what we come upon from time to time as we're out doing land work. If you want to, I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel. If you are not a subscriber, I'm still going out and I'm making a difference on people's property. I still do a lot of land improvement work because that's where my passion is, that's where my joy is. And you know, if I can help the railroad by making their crossings a lot more safer, then that's what I'm going to do. But while I'm out there, I've got to be very vigilant and very alert of what's going on around me. All right, well, for the land guy, I'm over and out, and we'll catch you in the next land video.
Smooth and rough, big or small, just give a try. Nobody beats the land.